Welcome to video EH4 from Chapter 4 of Drum Set Concepts Volume 5, a styles-based guide to big band drumming. This video will provide an explanation and demonstration of layered and linear playing and how they apply to the two primary groove patterns present in the big band chart event horizon. Here is a short video of the two groove patterns. Here's a quick description of the difference between layered and linear patterns. You're running into two different sort of approaches. One would be layered. Layering would mean like playing instruments together. Or linear, which means playing instruments apart. In other words, not any instrument is happening at the same time. There's other discussions of this, like some people call it harmonic versus melodic. I kind of like that because if you look at it, for example, in theory, in music theory, you'd learn that there's harmonic intervals, two notes played at the same time. And then there's melodic intervals, the same notes played one after the other. So if we look into the anatomy of these two grooves, we can see a bit of both layered and linear approaches. What follows is a quick study on how to use these ideas. It's important to note that when I performed this piece, the patterns I played just sprung up naturally from the experiences I have had in this genre. Exercising vocabulary developed over a period of time. For those of you who may be new to this linear approach, here's a step-by-step guide to the process. We'll start with basic layered patterns and then insert some linear patterns into the groove, and through substitution of the different instruments, we'll create the full groove. Here's our basic groove, which is a layered pattern. The bass drum pattern is lined up with the bass line in the tune. Now we'll insert a paradiddle-based linear pattern in the hands, which still emphasizes beats 2 and 4. Next, we'll combine the two patterns into one layered pattern. To bring out the linear nature of the groove, we'll make a few adjustments to the combined pattern. First, we'll remove the ghosted snare drum note on the of 2 so that it is now bass drum alone. Next, we'll substitute the hi-hat with the foot in place of the hi-hat with the strong hand on the and of 3. Now we'll add open hi-hat to the and of 4. The hi-hat will close on the downbeat of 1 on the repeat. So here is the full groove. Notice the beginning bass drum notes are layered with hi-hat, and then the pattern shifts to the linear treatment with substitutions. We'll repeat the same idea for the 3/4 pattern, groove 2, basically a layered pattern to start. Now we'll introduce our paradiddle-based linear pattern in the hands. This time it is occurring on beats 2 and 3 in the 3/4 bar. As with the previous pattern, we'll combine the two patterns into one, adjusting to add the ghosted snare drum note on the and of one and the bass drum on the of one. As per the first groove, this lines up with the bass line of the tune. And now you can start to see the linear approach starting to emerge. Next, we'll substitute the hi-hat in the foot in place of the hi-hat in the hand on beat 2 and. And finally, to create the full groove, we'll insert an ostinato in the hi-hat on all the ands. This is where playing the strong hand on a different source, X-hat in this case, is really helpful. So now that we've examined the anatomy of these two grooves, I'll present each complete pattern at 4 tempos. Quarter note equals 90, quarter note equals 100, quarter note at 110, and finally the recorded tempo, quarter note at 120 beats per minute. Here's the 4/4 pattern at 90 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the 4/4 pattern at 100 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the 4/4 pattern at 110 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3. And finally, here's the 4/4 pattern at 120 beats per minute. This is the recorded tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the 3/4 pattern at 90 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3. Here's the 3/4 pattern at 100 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3. Here's the 3/4 pattern at 110 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3. And finally, here's the 3/4 pattern at 120 beats per minute. This is the recorded tempo. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Now we get to the development section of the video. I've put together a series of 3 grid exercises that use both layered and linear approaches, placing the feet in all portions of the measure underneath the paradiddle sticking in the hands. And you can practice these along with the video or on your own at your own pace. The first segment is all bass drum layered under the paradiddle stickings. The next 2 segments shift to the linear approach with the bass drum segment 2 and the hi-hat segment 3 substituting for the hands on all portions of the grid. Once you learn to play these grids, the patterns in Event Horizon will be easier to execute. And as I mentioned earlier, these kinds of patterns can start to emerge organically in your playing. You probably noticed when I was playing the hi-hat grid substitution there, I was consciously playing heel up on the hi-hat so as not to get the open-close sound. The second one, etc. But you could certainly lean into that and try to get the open sound and use it. For example, that second one would be like this. If we play heel down now in the hi-hat, then the fourth one there, so you could certainly use that open-close sound if that's what you're looking for. Thanks for spending some time with me on this linear substitution concept. For more detail on this and other intermediate and advanced rock funk approaches, check out my Drum Set Concepts Volume 4, available at macdrummusic.com.